Greetings and welcome to episode 150 of the Words About Gamescast, the weekly video game podcast for words about games. I am your host, Amy Alexander, and I'm joined this week by Keith Robinson, who at this point might as well just be the other host, the co-host.
Yeah.
Hosts. We are hosts together.
Yeah.
In this wild and wonderful and wacky podcast that has happened 150 times.
I'm sure there's been more than that due to specials and stuff, but yeah.
100. No, I numbered everything. I mean, we've done other videos and stuff, but this podcast has happened 150 times.
Yeah, you heard it here first. We're trapped in a time loop. This podcast has happened 150
This exact
times.
podcast. It's fucking Groundhog Day. Help! The last podcast episode obviously broke the space-time continuum.
Yes. And we must make amends.
Yeah.
We stared too long into the abyss.
We went too far.
And it felt awkward.
Yeah.
The abyss, not us. We weren't right.
We were fine. I mean, I wasn't salty that it was the most viewed podcast in years. So I don't want to hear shit from anyone anymore about, oh, you don't do positive stuff anymore. Listen, right? You don't watch the positive stuff. But apparently when we dive headfirst into the darkness of the abyss, you guys come out from all over the place and watch it. So, you tell me if I should be making more positive content. Because apparently that's not where the views are, which I already knew and I don't give a shit about.
And she started this rant with, not going to be salty.
Obviously, I was being ironic. I posted a GIF 24 hours after I posted the podcast, which was the drinking of the champagne out of the bottle.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even drink, so.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure what you drink is as bad for you as alcohol.
Yeah, but it doesn't get me drunk. I don't start fights and fall down things and.
It just gives you the resting heart rate of a serial killer who's not for the sale on patio furniture.
And with those words to commemorate the 150th episode of the Words About Gamescast, I can think of no better sentiment. Let's dive right into it. It's no special episode, it's just a normal episode. It just happens to be number 150. My God of War, I've just noticed my God of War sign behind me is completely sideways.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be one of those kind of episodes. My Xbox controllers are missing from the background. It's all gone wrong, but at least I've got the iPad and it's fully charged. Keith, did you know that the Words About Gamescast, we discuss 5 topics centered around what's been going on in gaming, the games industry, and gaming culture over the past 7 days before we leave you with a list of games coming out this week? Would you like to know what we're talking about this week?
Yes, because
you have headlines. This week, we're discussing Anthem's technical and design issues, the Steam game that's prompted a response from the UK government, last week's episode of Inside Xbox, the latest moves in the war of the PC gaming storefronts, and a surprise for Keith, because he asked for it, and I have the text to prove it.
I didn't ask for a surprise, per se.
You asked me to change. I said, I have an idea for this. For number 5, but I might just leave it. And you were like, no, number 5 needs to change. And I was like, okay. And then I changed it. And now the entire entry reads title on phone. Because I have the actual thing on my phone. Which is also 77% charged and sitting right in front of me. Before we do the full news, London Spitfire got eliminated from stage 1 last night. I was watching it while I was streaming. What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
We went 0-4 against Soul Dynasty. It's bad. It's bad. Goats needs to fucking die.
Yeah. It may be a long time before it does, though.
We'll see. Yeah. We shall see. But now, should we go to the actual news? Yeah. It's less depressing, more or less. unless you're an Anthem player. Number 1, bugs and poorly thought out design choices aren't doing Anthem any favours. This was one story that then turned into 2 stories, that then turned into 3 stories. And honestly, I feel kind of bad, but I couldn't help it every time I read a new thing about Anthem. Like, I just laughed. Because it's kind of ridiculous. But it's kind of not funny, but it's also hilarious. So, part 1, an Anthem patch caused more loot to drop for players, consequently making the game more fun, according to said players. I've got words here by Colin Stevens over at IGN, who wrote, last week, or I guess the week before, I think, or probably last week, Anthem patch 1.0.3 dropped earlier than anticipated. It became available March 9th instead of the originally planned March 12th. With it came a host of changes and fixes. However, just before the patch dropped, a bug occurred that rewarded players with multiple masterwork and legendary items in endgame stronghold missions, of which there are 3. I should just point out, there are 3 endgame stronghold missions. Just for clarification on that one. This was quickly fixed with the patch. After receiving a small taste of frequent quality loot, fans are becoming more and more vocal about their dissatisfaction with how loot is handled in Anthem, and boy, have we got more stuff to say about loot later on. In response to this feedback, BioWare will be making significant changes in the next few months. BioWare's head of live service, Chad Robertson, tweeted over the weekend saying, quote, "We're not yet fully happy with the game's loot behaviour either," end quote. He explained that the developer will be making more incremental changes to its loot systems at first in order to better navigate how the changes impact the game's complex systems. However, it appears some fans might not be willing to wait a few months for larger changes to take effect. In a loot drop mega thread on Reddit, players are airing their grievances over the current stingy state of loot drops. While some fans are asking for BioWare to, quote, meet us in the middle with loot changes, one thread in particular is calling for a boycott of the game until quality loot becomes more prevalent, saying, quote, "Since there has been virtually zero dev response to the horrendous loot system, the best way to get the message across is a boycott." End quote. That's part 1. And that's a good time for a discussion of a loot shooter where the fans are pissed off with the loot.
No, it's not just the loot, but the entire loot system.
Yeah. So what happened was, it was called the loot shower, which is hilarious in and of itself. And what happened was there was a bug, and basically instead of like getting no masterwork items, or like very rarely getting masterwork items, like you were just getting masterwork items like left, right, and center, right?
Yeah.
And then everybody was like, "Holy shit, this is fun! This is really fun! Like we're getting loot all of a sudden." And then patch 1.0.3, which we'll be talking about more soon, came out and fixed it, and then it went back to normal, and everyone was like not getting the masterworks and stuff anymore, so it was becoming really grindy again, or it became really grindy again. So should we do the bullet points, or did you want to?
No, there's a quick editorial note from you there, which I think you should read.
Okay, I'll read my editorial note. Quick note on the boycott for those who think it's a waste of time, because I saw this sentiment on social media. A similar boycott a while back in For Honor actually worked. EA and BioWare want as many players engaged with the game as possible, so a significant enough dip in players might force them to make changes. That was my editorial note. And now, some questions.
Yes.
It's pretty. This wasn't really a question. I just added the word "right" and a question mark on the end of it, but it works. It's pretty bad that a bug caused endgame players to start having fun with the game, only for BioWare to immediately patch it out and make the game more of an unrewarding grind, right?
Yeah, it doesn't sound good. I mean, people have had fun with bugs since they came into games. But if it actually overall enhances the experience of playing your game, then that is an issue.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't play Anthem, so I can't tell you what it's like.
I was reading through the loot drop mega thread after I read this, because I was like, this is nuts. And like I was reading through some of the posts, and there were people who were like saying like, "Oh, I only logged on for like, I was only going to log on for 5 minutes to do help his friend through like a quest, and ended up playing for like 5 hours because like you've got they were having fun with the game, because the gameplay is admittedly quite fun when it works properly, but also because they were being rewarded with for playing the game. Like they kept playing, so it was like, oh, I just got shitloads of loot. I'll play again. Oh shit, I just got shitloads of loot again. And so on and so forth. Um, it's pretty bad. That I mean, the fact that this bug happened is bad for BioWare, not for the players, because what's happened is people have realized that there is another way. um, and for
I
them to
mean,
just fix it and not do
yeah,
like, I can't imagine it would take months for them to fix the loot drop rate. Right? You just have to tweak the loot drop rate. Clearly, it
yeah,
doesn't take months because it broke.
yeah. The other the extent idea is that it's a loot shooter. The idea is to get loot.
Mm-hmm.
If people are getting all of this loot quite quickly and they have no more loot to hand out, no more content for these people to get straight away, people run out of stuff to do and won't come back to it. Or might not come back to it.
But that's how loot shooters work, right? Like
Well,
we
yeah, but
played
this is
Destiny
what
for a month and a
technically what Destiny.
yeah, we played Destiny 2 for like a month and a half, and we were like, cool, I've got everything I needed to get out of this game. I had a lot of fun, and now
Yeah.
I'm out. But even people I know who still play Destiny, I was talking to someone about Destiny actually yesterday. Um, like, they play all of the content, and then they do peace out until the next update or the next DLC or whatever it is, and then they go back in and they're like, "Oh, cool! Check out all this new stuff." Like that's just loot shooters in general. From what I gather, like I've never stuck with a loot shooter for more than like a month, like a month and a half when we played Destiny 2, but like apparently that's what a lot of people do. I mean, people do it with like MMOs and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
I mean, I would think they would retain more players if the rewards were massively increased versus if people were just getting sick and not actually like getting loot and just going, oh fuck, I'm grinding all this like and I'm not getting anything and
The grind is an integral part of, like, say, WoW.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
but
think back to classic WoW, like the Timbermore, like the Timbermore Furbolgs, who you just ground, you ground. It was such a long grind
sorry.
to get a rep with them. Also, the Frost Saber mount trainers, where you got a specific mount, but the quest line took forever.
All that undead faction in Vanilla WoW that I was grinding for tokens for the special gear.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
I've been down the grind route before. There's a difference between rewarded grind being rewarding and grind being unrewarding. Like
yeah,
I grinded the fuck out of Final Fantasy VII to get all of the limit breaks at a certain point in the game, which was obviously much earlier than you
it's
would
close.
naturally get
Yeah,
them. But
yeah, I've
there
got
was a
that too.
reward at the end of that.
Yeah,
Whereas with this, and again, I got to the tomb quest line and I just fucked off because I was like, nope, this game is now actively wasting my time. I'm done. So I don't know anything about the end game, but it's like if you're running the same three strongholds
yeah.
over and over again, maybe just turn that loot thing up, the loot drop right up just a little bit. But I'll jump in the second bullet point if you have no
No, that's go
objections
ahead.
because it kind of fits with what we're talking about now. I almost just joked on nothing. Surely, as a PvE only game, it doesn't matter if loot drops at a faster rate, given that the stats on Masterwork here are randomised. Anthem still gets to keep the incentive of better loot, even if that loot is dropping faster. And obviously, as you pointed out, like faster loot means more people might drop because they're like, oh well, I've got all the loot. At the same time, it does have randomised stats, so it's not like once you've got the pauldrons of epic conquest or whatever. Like I have those now. It's like, well, you could get better ones because the not the stats. The what are they called? I was reading a thing like an hour ago, which said what they're called. The special ability text things are
Yeah,
randomized, so you could get better synergies. Not that it matters. Spoiler alert for the rest of this, but
yeah. I was gonna say it's like getting like the WoW option again. It's like, oh, I got the like the epic pauldrons of conquest of the whale. Damn, that gives me like stamina and spirit. What I really needed was agility and
Yeah.
strength. I'm a rogue.
I used to have that shit all the time. Being a sword
Yeah.
rogue, it was like, fuck, this is what I wanted, but this is the wrong thing. But then you would, because I always had, but when I was playing WoW, I was having so much fun with the game. I'd be like, cool, let's go again. Like, let's go again, again.
In joke.
Yeah. Speaking of ridiculous Anthem bugs, here's two more. Part 2. Anthem players have found a scaling bug that rewards removing gear. So these words are by Cass Marshall over at Polygon, who writes, Anthem is a loot shooter. That means that its primary function should enable the player to shoot things and, in turn, earn loot. That process has been a little rockier than BioWare intended. Now it appears that as if removing support items makes players significantly stronger. And, right, there's a huge Reddit thread of someone has done the maths, and I read it like 6 times, and I kind of get it, but at the same time, I'm not putting anyone through that. If you want to read it, it's easy enough to find.
I'm just getting so many anime scenes in my head. It's like, this isn't even my final. But it's like the bit where someone like takes off the eye patch and becomes more powerful, or they drop the weight that
they were wearing, like Dragon Ball Z style. But here's a paragraph which is a pretty good summary of what's going on with this particular thing. A brief explanation is that removing your support items increases your damage because the most recent patch scales damage based off your average item level. Removing low-level items doesn't make the slot a 0, it removes that slot from the average calculation altogether. That means that, unless you have a full set of endgame gear, it's mathematically more powerful to just abandon the low-level items that would drag your average down. You will do as much damage as you would if you were decked out in the best gear around. So here's how this works, basically.
Yeah.
If you've got, let's say, because I'm, again, foggy on Anthem's endgame, but let's say the maximum power level is 350, right?
Yeah.
And you've got gun and a helmet and whatever, that's level 350. Yeah. And some pauldrons of epic conquest that are only level 290, right?
Yeah.
That means your average is going to be, but the way Anthem works everything out, your average is all those 350s and then 290.
Yeah.
But because Anthem doesn't really understand how these things should work, if you just take those pauldrons of epic conquest out of the equation, it doesn't go, oh, okay, so it's averaging all the 350s and then nothing. It just goes, oh, you're not wearing shoulder pads, cool. Averages everything else out to 350, and you become 350.
Yeah, instead of the shoulder pads are registered as nothing if you take them off instead of 0.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Because
which I get, but it is stupid, especially when you consider the next bug, which just plays into this.
Yeah, because you could basically just be like, I'm gonna have this masterwork, awesome, epic level gear thing, and then I'll just remove everything else, and I'll be doing more damage than somebody who's grinded for hours and hours and hours to get like a slightly lower power level set of armor. It's insane, but what's even more insane is part 3. Anthem's starting rifle may be the strongest gun in the game right now. So this is from Austin Goslin, also over at Polygon, who writes, according to Reddit user Yeet Lord Supreme and their experiments, Anthem appears to scale damage and enemy health based on the weapon you are using to shoot each enemy. And that sentence alone is fucking absurd. But I'll continue. So, a max level masterwork weapon might say it's doing more damage than a lower level gun, but the reality is that it takes fewer bullets from a level 1 gun to kill the same enemy. In this case, Yeet Lord Supreme tried out the level 45 masterwork Ralna's Blaze and a level 1 common defender rifle. While the game seems to indicate that the Ralna's does more damage via the numbers that appear when you shoot enemies, it takes 6 bullets to kill the enemy. Meanwhile, the same type of enemy only took 4 bullets from the level 1 defender rifle. Several other users popped into the thread with similar experiments and found the same results. Using a lower level weapon was actually killing enemies quicker than the high level weapons. The thread immediately drew the attention of BioWare, which responded with a message from technical design director Brennan Holmes, quote, "We'll need to investigate this. Scaling systems are supposed to allow low-level players to play with high-level players to be effective against high-level enemies. This is not intended. Something ain't right here," end quote. No shit, Sherlock. This is a problem that BioWare is likely to address sometime in the near future. For now, it seems the best way to play Anthem, maybe with starting weapons. So, I don't have this written down as a bullet point, but okay, go ahead.
I just have these sudden visions. It's like you've got like three people dressed up in their like that like end tier Iron Man armor, and then you just see someone come out in like a speedo with the starting rifle and just like one shot a load of enemies. And it's just like they're screaming Leroy.
It's a speedo, one starting rifle, and obviously like you need to have something masterwork like level 350. So
speedo?
Epic pauldrons, epic pauldrons of conquest, power level 350, and nothing else, and everybody's just like. Wasting and destroying.
The start rifle shoots one guy and they explode and you kill us down.
Yeah. So just to clarify, Anthem, the best way to play Anthem's endgame. I mean, if you're on PS4, the best way to play Anthem's endgame is probably not to play it at all until they fix the problem where it's restarting consoles. But the best way to play Anthem's endgame is to basically equip as little as possible. Use the starting gun.
Yeah, it's just like equip the highest level item you've picked up so far and the starting gun.
I mean,
and that's it.
I mean, that's certainly one fix to the fact that they're not like the players aren't getting very many high level drops because I mean you don't really need them.
Yeah,
because they'll just make you weaker.
Yeah, drops. Who needs drops?
Fuck me. This has been like Fallout 76, which I'll reference in a second for a bullet point, but Fallout 76 was an immediate disaster. Whereas, like, I think Anthem has been one of those slow burn disasters where it's like it started out kind of okay, but then it's just getting worse as time goes on. Here's my first bullet point. Bullet point question. No, go on if you've got.
Anthem is playable.
Fallout 76 is playable. I proved that. I've got 10 hours of gameplay footage. I built a house. I gave up on the game after about 6 or 7 hours. I decided I'm gonna build a house. And then, to be fair, that was the most fun I had with the game when I basically stopped playing the game and built a house. It's a very nice house. It's 2 floors, wood. Kind of looks like like a smaller version of the Spencer Mansion from Resident Evil, but with
Why am I not surprised for Resident?
With lots of turrets because I accidentally built it next to a spawning zone for not ghouls, the other ones, scorchers. Speaking of Fallout, much like Bethesda and Fallout 76, does this seem to be a case of a developer creating a game in a genre they are wholly unfamiliar with and not seeming to hire expertise to cover their lack of knowledge? Short version, rookie mistakes. Like, it seems like they don't know how to make a game like this.
There was a learning curve when you go into different areas.
Absolutely.
Sure. I mean, people are saying that the mechanics of the gunplay is good. It's fun to play around with when it works, is what you said before. Some of the math behind it appear to be a bit chunky. For instance, not if an item is missing on a person, it's not counting as 0, it's counting as nothing. That is a bit of chunky math, and this is entirely the sort of thing that people could miss when they're new to a genre. So yeah, I would agree with that.
Yes. But that's why you hire expertise. You hire people who have done this before.
Yeah.
Or you have more than the 0 betas the game had, because it had like a demo before it came out. Like you have betas because this is the kind of thing you need a beta test for.
I'm sure there was some sort of private beta.
I think there was an alpha. I think you called it a private alpha. There was something. Yeah, because there was the open beta. There was the EA access beta. And then I think there was something like a month beforehand. But obviously, like, if you are just doing like, oh, do these 3 missions in this little bit, you're not going to run into problems like this. Whereas, like, I seem to remember Rift was a game, an MMO that I played through all of the betas, where it was like, this is a beta weekend, this beta weekend, that beta weekend, and by the time I'd gone through all the beta weekends, I'd reached the end game with one of my characters, like, because it was just the full game, and we were literally beta testing it from start to finish to make sure it was all fine. Whereas these types of games don't really do that. Anyway, I guess, how does playtesting not reveal issues like this? I guess we've answered that. Like, but how do playtesters not find this?
Well, when it comes to stuff, generally when they're playing the game, we'd be like, okay, so I've got a couple of issues with this game that you've had me playing for the last 2 days. If I do this, a bug will like spawn. If I do this, a bug will spawn. They're more, I think, that actually stop me playing the game as opposed to, hey, I wonder what happens if I de-equip random bits of gear because they're not very high level. That's something that you just need people randomly on the internet will come along and do. Because it won't really occur to most people to try that.
Truth. But then that just goes back to the extensive beta tests.
Yeah. I mean, you know my personal feelings about what EA is doing at the moment with games, just rushing.
I mean,
well,
yeah.
I feel that some of the games are being rushed out for the end of the financial year as opposed to being given the time they need. Anthem definitely feels like this, and we've heard rumors about people in the industry saying that. It does make me worry about the next game because I'm sure Anthem's not gonna hit its sales target.
Which means that the next game needs to come out as fast as possible, and that's why we got Mass Effect Andromeda did the same thing, and we're stuck in this cycle of the next game has to come out because the last game was rushed to market and didn't sell very well. Yeah. Guys, think about what you're saying here.
You're trapped in a loop here.
You're stuck in a loop. Just take the hit. You make billions from FIFA anyway, and then just breathe, okay? Just breathe. How much more can people take before they just abandon the game? My friend MC Fixer, who is a full-time streamer, has pretty much given up on Anthem at this point, which is what prompted this question. It's just like, I mean, the key thing isn't necessarily to sell Anthem, it is to make sure people are still playing the game.
It's a live service game. Yeah.
Yes.
It has its adherents, certainly. But
how many more news stories like this before like it starts having like this significant fall off of people just going, you know what, I'm done.
I mean, hopefully this is it. These are the issues that there are with the game, and EA will
fingers crossed.
Bioware will fix them. But I think some of these are going to be a long fix. I mean, I don't imagine it taking too long to sort out the leaving gear off.
I mean, they quoted as a few months.
But the thing with the starting rifle and stuff, I don't even know how that was working.
It's just they built a scaling system which has gone overboard. Mm-hmm. Clearly, and I don't know enough about game design to know how the scaling system is supposed. I know that the scaling system is supposed to work where, like, if you were like max level and I was like starting level and we joined up, like I would kill enemies in 6 shots and you would kill enemies in 6 shots. It's super strange to me that the way their scaling system works is like the damage numbers are vastly different. Like the high level one is sure that you should be doing more damage, but you're not because you're killing enemies slower.
Yeah.
But it's then the fact that transfers over into the full game anyway. So it's not that the starting level, it's not like the lower level player is being scaled in a higher level environment. It's just that the rifle just gets scaled no matter what, which is super weird as well. And like these aren't necessarily bugs; these are the design of the game, which is also troubling for BioWare because it's not something they can patch really quickly and just go, we see the problem, we'll just fix it because this is why it's a problem. It's like, this is how we designed our game. Shit, how do we fix this? These are in development problems that are unfortunately live. That's super weird. You highlighted something and I was like, that's a really weird thing to highlight. There's this pink highlight on my thing. I'll skip that last one, and we'll move on. Shall we move on to number 2 now that we've
Yeah.
Anthem? We've talked about Anthem. I'm sure it won't be the last time. Hopefully, the next time it'll be everything's fine. But I have a feeling the next time will be next week when we're like, it didn't sell 6 million units.
Yeah.
Number 2, Keith, we're returning to your favourite topic and my favourite topic and everybody's favourite topic. Rape Day prompts call for UK government review. I've got some words here by Hayden Taylor over at gamesindustry.biz, who wrote, a British Member of Parliament has slated Steam over the recent Rape Day controversy, calling for a government review. In a statement released today, Scottish National Party MP Hannah Bardell described it as utterly abhorrent material and said the government must commit to getting around the table and sorting this issue for good. Quote, the content of this game is utterly perverted. It's time for the UK government to undertake a full review into how tech companies and gaming platforms, specifically Steam, are able to get away with this kind of stupidity. The culture to seek forgiveness rather than permission is a stain on an industry that otherwise has the potential to be a real force for good, end quote. She was joined in her comments by Shona Robertson, First Minister of the Scottish Parliament, who supported calls for a UK government review to strengthen the legislation around this area. Quote, for any online gaming platform to allow the publishing of a so-called game which glorifies the killing and raping of women would be disgusting and deeply offensive. Therefore, I'm delighted that Steam has rejected the distribution of this incredibly shocking game on their online platform, end quote. Now, I don't know if I actually wrote this. No, I didn't write this. So let me just point out that given everything that's going on in the United Kingdom right now and how much of garbage fire like our politics are right now, the fact that like politicians still noticed this and actually made comments about it just tells you something about how an issue this is.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned last week. It's like we're close to International Women's Day and stuff when this sort of stuff comes.
Yeah, I didn't actually click in my head with that, where it's like it's International Women's History Month as well. It's like fucking Jesus. Yeah. But considering it, like the game had a coming soon page for a few weeks, and it was only when it got closer to the top of the coming soon list, and then people actually saw it in the list, that it was, and then Steam and then Valve were like, oh shit, we'll have a lengthy discussion, and we're not going to publish it, means that they were going to publish it, and then it was the backlash that forced them not to. So, yeah, we should. The UK government. It's time for the UK government to undertake a full review into how tech companies and gaming platforms I love the fact that it's specifically Steam. That's said by the MP, not me, not the news article. The MP specifically calls out Steam, and like, I mean, they're on the radar now.
Yeah. It's the sort of stuff we've mentioned, well, last year, I think, when we were saying, is there anything that would get Steam to like actually clean up its act? And it would be government taking an interest.
Yeah.
There's to highlight the fact that Valve, has taken this. It's better to seek forgiveness than seek permission.
Yeah. It's called, quote, stupidity. I love this MP, by the way.
Yeah.
She does not hold back.
I was trying to see if it was the MP I thought it was, but I don't think it is.
Hannah Bardell.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about her specifically. All I know is my MP sucks so bad. I'm into some bullet points here. Because, you say like, oh, government's taking an interest might force a change. It's like, we've heard that before. Where have we heard that before? Keith, here's my first bullet point question. It feels like the industry at large really needs to wake up to its own responsibilities. Shouldn't they have collectively learned this lesson when loot boxes forced governments to legislate?
To be fair, most governments haven't legislated about loot boxes yet.
Yes, but they've started. A government legislation isn't something they just knock out in 5 minutes, unless we're trying to leave the European Union. I had to.
I'm fine.
It's like we talked for ages, and before like Belgium and Hawaii and everybody else took an interest in loot boxes, we even said back when Middle Earth, the poster child for loot box controversies was Middle Earth. It was like governments are going to legislate on this eventually because they're going to just push it too far. And Steam hasn't. internalized that lesson and thought, oh, maybe
Nothing to
we're
do with
pushing
us.
it too far.
Yeah.
Like, and here we are again. Sorry, it looked like you were about to say something there, so I
No,
paused.
I was just saying that Steam doesn't actually do loot boxes in itself unless you
No,
count
but obviously
trading
in a
cards that
yeah,
they do.
they do with Artifact, a game which doesn't have anyone playing it anymore, but well, like, a few people. But no, I mean it's a comparative thing. It's like loot boxes versus Steam publishing games like Rape Day and AIDS Simulator and Active Shooter Simulator and Gay World and all of the other games that it pushes on people. It doesn't push them on people, but it's a storefront. So,
Yeah.
My second question is: potential government legislation of the games industry a good thing?
Probably not.
Yeah,
Because when governments start legislating what we can and can't play, it's censorship, and there's always the thing for that to go into an Orwellian nightmare.
yeah,
So when you don't have any form of moral or ethical code, well, Valve does have a sort of code. They won't put anything up on their storefront which is actually trolling or offensive to the players. And by offensive to the players, I mean what was that? I can't remember what game it was. That was literally just mining bitcoins
I
off
don't
people's computers.
remember. So many Steam things we've talked about in
Yeah,
the past. Um, I mean, they will put things out that are offensive to people.
yeah,
Gay World is still out on Steam. So, that game that you played that I can never remember the name of, it's still on Steam. Um, Games that are straight up trolling don't work or are actually illegal. And so far, we've seen them fail to enforce the second part of that sentence.
yeah,
Um, and the definition of the trolling thing is so lax, we don't know whether they
yeah,
failed to enforce that or not because nobody knows
yeah,
what they constitute as trolling.
yeah.
Um, I'm gonna skip that one because it's too big a question for the two of us to try and answer. Given that Steam is an American-owned business, is there much that the UK government can actually do?
Yes,
I knew you would have the
because
answer.
if you remember, and I'm trying to remember what the game was called, a game was taken off
September.
Steam. It was a game where it was a fighting game between deities,
Oh Jesus! Fight for the gods.
something like that,
I remember
and
this. I
it
used to
was
get emails about
banned
it.
because in Malaysia, I think it is, they have certain rules about how you can depict deities.
Gays.
Yeah, which the game ran afoul of, and I believe it was taken off Steam.
Um. Yeah, you might be right there. Because the UK is a big market for video games. It's not the
Yeah,
biggest by any stretch of the
no, it's
imagination,
definitely.
but I don't mean this in any way other than just to like highlight it. But it's a bigger market than say Belgium.
Yeah,
Again, making that loot box comparison thing.
yeah,
So if they were like, yeah, well, but like the game's already gone, so it's not like the UK government can say, cool, this game's banned because it kind of already is. Um,
it's not banned.
it's
It's
not
just you can't
banned,
get.
but Steam doesn't sell it, so it wouldn't like if they ban the game, Steam would not care because it's not
Mhm.
on. Like they'd have to legislate towards Steam directly or Valve
Yeah,
directly, right?
yeah.
And then it's like, well, what would they do? Like, how would they do that? How would that work? And I don't know. Pikachu doesn't know either. He's just sitting here smiling. I can't fill in any more time, Keith,
Yeah.
while I wait for you to search for this game on Steam.
Yeah, Fight of Gods. I can't find it on my version of Steam.
I'm sorry.
But it still appears on the website as
Yeah, it's
early
still
access.
a game, right? Like, they still released it. I don't know where it is, but they
Yeah,
still released it.
it's still available in the UK,
Yeah, well, it will be.
but it's not available in Malaysia, I believe it is.
Fair enough. So I guess but then it's like if a game doesn't get released in the UK, it's like does Steam think that's a big deal?
Hmm.
Like, because it's like, oh well, it's not our game. We don't make
Yeah,
games anymore.
I've just realised that Fight of Gods, as it's called, is available on the Switch as of this January.
Yeah, it's a proper game by proper developers. P-Cube. They also make that game Galgun. Keith, I'm moving on to the next bullet point.
Yeah.
This isn't a question. I want to do, and I told you so, aimed squarely at Valve. Despite what they said last year, they ultimately take responsibility for what games appear on their storefront, whether they think they should or not. They obviously should. Case in point, when the UK government was like, this is bullshit, or like, sorry, SNP MP Hannah Bardell was like, this game is bullshit. She didn't say, this game, we need to see what the developer. She was like, Steam. She said Steam. Steam specifically, because the things that you sell in your storefront, you have to take responsibility for selling them in the first place.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether you decide to take a hands-off approach or not.
Yeah.
So
you're basically trying to think the exact wording of it, but you're saying, "Oh, we're okay with this. We're selling this product if you sell this product."
Yeah, exactly. You're endorsing.
Endorsing it. Yeah, you're basically endorsing the message behind this game by selling this game.
Yeah, because you're allowing this game on your storefront. So, and Steam Valve tried to get out of it and say like it's an algorithm, like it's not our responsibility. And I said at the time, yes, it fucking is. That's fucking ridiculous. And it seems like the SNP have got my back.
Yeah.
Which of all the people to have my back on on opinions about video games, I mean, I'll take all the help I can get, but
the Scottish Nationalist Party.
I wouldn't have expected the Scottish National Party to have my back of all people, but there you go.
I wouldn't have expected anyone with any political party with nationalists in it to have my back on anything. But
no, that's true. But it's the Scottish National Party, not the Nationalist Party. Given that nationalism is a big thing at the moment, I just wanted to make that clarification. We don't want to offend the SNP right as they've come out in support of things that we've been saying for years. We're sorry. We good, right? We good. You are the champion. That'll do. This episode of the Words About Gamescast brought to you by the Scottish National Party. Vote SNP. Keith, let's move on to part 3. Why do I say the things I say sometimes?
I don't know, but you appear to be endorsing Scotland leaving the United Kingdom.
I just endorsed the SNP on the Words About Gamescast. This truly is a special episode after all. I can't even vote. I wish I could vote for the SNP. But I live in stupid England with stupid shit.
Well, almost in Scotland. I mean, we're the northernmost county.
I mean, I say we just secede.
Let's not discuss this, because the way countries go, there is entirely a possibility that Scotland tries to leave the UK and we end up in some sort of civil war. So let's not stop putting our political opinions about it.
Indeed. Go SNP. Inside Xbox happened, and there were a couple of neat announcements. I didn't grab a news story because I was obviously watching it. So I just wrote things down. Keith, this one is purely for you and me. This wasn't the biggest news story of the Inside Xbox, but for us, it was pretty cool. Halo Reach and Firefight are both coming to Halo the Master Chief Collection, and then I wrote Firefight because I remember how much fun it is in Halo Reach. Both will be added to the Game Pass version, but will be premium DLC for the game itself. So if you've got Game Pass and you've got the Master Chief Collection, you just get Halo Reach and Firefight. If you don't have Game Pass but you own the game, it'll be premium paid for DLC. There go my headphones.
Not like ODST where I was, part of it.
There's going to be an echo for a second because I just karate chopped my headphones out on my speakers. Sorry, you were saying?
I was saying it's like when they released ODST for Master Chief Collection, it came free. At least if you already had the game at the time.
But that was because ODST was them going, we're so sorry this game doesn't work in any way, shape or form. Here, have a free game.
Yeah.
Also, this technically isn't the Master Chief Collection because Halo Reach has very little to do with the Master Chief.
The Cortana was in it for a few seconds.
I mean, it's not the Cortana Collection.
She's an integral part of his story, though.
Look.
At least so far.
All I'm saying is, we can just play Firefight all the time now. Oh, we will be able to. And we can also play Halo Reach.
Yeah, that's a massive amount of stuff I need to, because it's a massive game file that like download onto the Xbox again. I mean, you're getting your hard drive for it.
Oh, and here I am already having Halo the Master Chief Collection installed on my Xbox like a true fan. Here's Keith, just like, oh man, I'm gonna have to install the whole thing again. Shakes fist gif.
It's like 126 gigabytes to install offline. This is before ODST and that came out. It's a big game.
I put this. I mean, it's 6 games. Well, it will be.
Yeah.
I put this in here because I was like, Keith will be excited. Halo Reach. It's his favorite Halo game.
Yeah, Halo Reach is my favorite Halo game, and I would be looking forward to playing it again if I wasn't addicted to playing Titanfall 2.
I mean, you'll get over it.
Yeah, probably.
You did. You must have done once because you stopped playing it at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, I got the point where I could Generation 5, and I was like, right, that's it, I'm out of here. And now I'm sitting at like halfway through Generation 6. Like,
but when do you get to Generation X?
X gonna get, well, 10 used to be the limit, but then when I came back, I found out it's like 100. Just about to go to 101. That's where it stops.
Anyway, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. All I'm saying is we used to play Firefight all the time, and we probably will again because Firefight's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Master Chief Collection is also coming to PC. Yay! But in stages. Huh? This was very confusing when I was watching it, but it makes sense. But the way they explained it was very poor.
It's like an EA release.
Each game will come chronologically. So they'll release Halo. They'll release the Master Chief Collection, and you buy the Master Chief Collection. But then it's like episodic, almost. So you get Halo, then Halo 2, then 3, then so on and so forth, and so forth. I imagine this is because if they try to release the whole thing all at once again on an entirely new platform, it'll probably work about as well as it did the first time they tried to do that.
Yeah.
But that's kind of cool. Like, that's going to be on the PC.
Yeah.
For the first time. Yeah. I don't know. I had the first game on PC because we used to play LAN parties of it on PC, and it was cool. It was cool. Keith, Minecraft is going to be in Game Pass in April. Now, we don't play Minecraft, and we're not really that bothered. But that's pretty big. That's pretty big.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you can buy like Minecraft for X amount of money, or you can just pay for it X amount of money by putting on Gamecast and have access to all these other games.
Yeah, and you get all this other stuff. So here's where I'm thinking this is gearing towards. So, obviously there's the rumors that we discussed that Microsoft are getting ready to reveal Maverick, which is the discless Xbox system, which will obviously be a lot cheaper. I suppose as the rumors go, it's going to be a lot cheaper than the core Xbox, the one that we've both got.
Yeah.
So by putting Minecraft into Game Pass, which has the big target demographic of that game being kids and parents looking for cheap presents for kids, buy this discless Xbox. It's really cheap, and it comes with a month, 3 months of Game Pass, and that means you get Minecraft. And with Minecraft, you also get all of these other games, but they'll just be playing Minecraft for the most part. And then after that, it's just you just renew the subscription.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of genius.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the second easiest way to get Minecraft rather than playing it on PC. So on consoles, it's like just get Game Pass on your Xbox. Boom, you've got Minecraft. Pretty cool. There was an all-woman presenting team and a big push to show the women working at Xbox. Bollocks. Sorry, it skipped again. There was an all-woman presenting team and a big push to show the women working at Xbox and throughout the games industry in celebration of International Women's History Month. They were like, ended it, like, they showed off some games initiative at a college in America. That was helping everybody get into the games industry, but they were talking about how they attracted more women. Because obviously, like, the ratio was quite low, and then obviously it's getting higher. And then they were like, "Here's all of the women who made tonight's Inside Xbox possible." And then they showed like everybody at the end. It was kind of cool. Naturally, there were comments of like, "No, show all the men."
Yeah.
The Phantom White Xbox controller. Did you see it?
I've seen an image of it.
It looks pretty. I'm not gonna buy it because the issue with buying a premium normal controller is I have an Elite controller.
Yeah.
Why would I spend a lot of money on a admittedly cool looking controller if it's not an Elite controller? So while it looks awesome, if it was an Elite controller, I'd be like, yeah, I might consider like trading in my current Elite controller because it does look really good.
A premium Elite controller. Don't give them idea.
Like a different looking Elite controller. And because the Phantom White controller is going to be more expensive than a normal controller, hence premium controller. But then, like, the price is starting to approach buying an Elite controller anyway. Project xCloud was demoed with Julia Hardy playing Forza Horizon 4 on a mobile phone. Trials will start sometime this year. I mean, yes, it was in the Microsoft, wherever the hell they record, which probably has like 1 billion megabits per second internet, but hey, it fucking worked.
Yeah.
She had the controller with the phone in the stand and she was playing Forza Horizon 4. It works. Like, it works. Like, we were talking about this when xCloud was a thing. We were like, will it even work? Yes. Yes, it will. Now we just need to get the internet infrastructure of the world like up to
match South Korea.
Yeah. But I mean, they weren't in South Korea, but like, it was cool just the fact that it did work. Shall we move on? So, this is about PC gaming, everybody. Actually, no. This is just going to be about the Epic Store.
Yeah.
So it's about PC gaming. It's the Epic Store. Two things happen with regards to the Epic Store. Keith, the first one. Epic Store development roadmap includes achievements, cloud saves, and more. Everybody. I saw Jump Force released a roadmap today.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Why is everybody all of a sudden releasing fucking roadmaps?
I got sick of roadmaps when I was playing MacWarrior Online.
Guys, it's 2019. Nobody uses roadmaps anymore. Everybody's just got GPS. Yeah, I am sick of seeing roadmaps pop up for games like it did, but that's a bugbear we can talk about some other time. I've got words here by Sean Prescott from PC Gamer, who writes, Epic Games released its development roadmap on Trello earlier today. I don't know what Trello is. I think I'm getting old. Delivering our first proper look at the time frame for new features. According to the chart, user reviews, wishlists, playtime tracking, and mod support will all roll out within the next 6 months, as well as new payment options, additional currencies, and an Epic Games overlay. But there's a handful of additions coming even sooner, with cloud saves expected to be supported within a 1 to 3 month time frame. Also expected within this time frame is a redesign of store pages, multi-SKU listings for DLC, improvements to offline mode. It doesn't have an offline mode. Just putting that out there. And the ability to search by genre and tag. As far as long-term projects, the store will get achievements and a social overhaul eventually, but these are expected to roll out at least 6 months down the track. And as for TBD projects, these include automated refunds, gifting, and an Android store. This presumably means Android games will be sold via Epic Games Store. I'm going to switch the order of the 2 bullet points you can see in front of you, Keith. Should the Epic Games Store have delayed launching until it had some of these more basic features? Because some of these features do seem quite basic.
They are what we consider to be basic features of a store. But if they had delayed using the Epic Store, they wouldn't have gotten some of the games.
Yeah, obviously, because obviously the games are coming out and whatnot.
Yeah.
It is a tricky
And I
one.
think that they needed some of those like announcements to pull away from like Steam. And the announcements that they were saying about the split between how much developers would take and stuff that they came out with for their store came at just the right moment.
Yeah. I mean, you make a lot of sense in that. I think the timing of the announcement, the timing of because of all the issues Steam faced
Yeah.
and still face today, like we just talked about them under frigging potential government review. Um, yeah, I think the timing was right for them. There were certain things where you go, that's not in there yet, like searching, but then you think, well, there was only like 12 games. They didn't really
Yeah.
need a search function. It's little things like that, like gifting. Like Xbox only got gifting last year, like so it's like that. I'm not really. It's like there are certain things where I'm like, you don't have that yet. Like offline mode is like basically non-existent. User reviews, I mean, that's a that's a beehive. Um, in terms of the Epic Game Store, like wish lists again, there's only like 12 games on the store or something like that. So it's like, well, you even need wish lists. I mean, at this point, I'm pretty sure half of the games that are on the Epic Game Store have been given away for free because they give away games every 2 weeks. Um, but how do we think the Epic Game Store is shaping up? Because that's the big question. While everybody else is screaming no Steam, no sale on social media
Yeah.
and getting angry that all of their games are going to the Epic Game Store. Keith, what do you think about the Epic Game Store?
I haven't used it yet. I'm still waiting for Hades to come out with early access.
I have not used it yet. To be fair, I've literally logged into it every 2 weeks to get my free game, and then I just go boom and I'm out. I just want everybody to start giving me review codes for games on Epic Game Store so I can leave Steam behind forever. And one day, maybe that dream will come to pass.
Maybe one day you'll get that Half-Life free.
Steam making a game. That's a good. Sorry, Valve making a game. That's a good one. The last game they made was Artifact, and they promised it would be a live service card game, and then they stopped tweeting about it or like releasing updates like about it in January. Right after the last thing they said before that was, "We're here to stay." Silence. Anyway, the second half of this story goes on a bit. I might self-edit as I'm going down. Original XCOM creator faces backlash after signing Epic Games Store exclusive deal for Phoenix Point. Now you might be thinking, Amy, this happens every week. A game announces as being exclusive to the Epic Games Store, and a bunch of people get pissed off. Why are you covering this one specifically? Well, there's a little bit of a wrinkle in this one that I wanted to talk about. Here's some words from Wesleyan Poole via Eurogamer, who wrote, hotly anticipated turn-based strategy game Phoenix Point, billed as a spiritual successor to the original XCOM, was crowdfunded to the tune of $765,948 by over 10,000 backers on Fig back in June 2017. At the time, a Steam key for Phoenix Point was promised to those who'd helped make the game a reality. Fast forward to March 2019, and Phoenix Point is now exclusive to the Epic Games Store for 1 year. While backers will get a Steam or GOG key after the first year, in addition to their Epic key, they'll also get 3 DLC packs for free. Gollop is also offering a full refund to any backer who wants it. And then there was a kickoff on everywhere, as there always is. There was a Reddit AMA in which Gollop said he'd approached Epic about the possibility of signing a deal, and the money received would significantly benefit the game. And then there's a quote which kind of sums up everybody's feelings, like on who have kicked off about it. From a Reddit user called Spinecorn, great name, who said they took our money, developed it to the point where it was mature enough to attract external investors, then totally changed the game plan and fully expect us to withdraw cash, since they're now out of the high-risk phase of the project that nobody but us actual fans would back, and have a mature product that's been guaranteed external funding. They conned us into lending them the money and manoeuvred it so we'd be sitting on the bill if the development project failed. For a game that sold itself based on community involvement with backer builds and all, this is just awful. End quote. Keith, a question.
Yeah.
Are backers right to be upset that they were promised a Steam key and will now have to settle for an Epic Games Store key and wait a year post-launch to get a Steam key for this game?
I mean, I personally haven't used the Epic Store, and I don't see any foreseeable big problems with using Epic over Steam. I can understand that people are maybe a little annoyed if there's some features or something.
I mean, there's tons of missing features compared to what Steam has. Like, obviously, we just covered a bunch of them. Like, I mean, I'm not massively educated on the differences between Steam and the Epic Game Store.
Yeah.
Like, but as far as I can tell, like the Epic Game Store is not like not. They're not trying to fuck you over. I
Yeah.
guess. Neither is Steam. In fairness, like to all of the problems Steam have, they're not generally trying to fuck you over either. Um, But like I said, like this happens all the time, and we never cover it. But there is the wrinkle of, well, you backed it for a Steam and was specifically promised a Steam key,
Yeah.
and then the developer admitted, like self-admittedly, went to Epic themselves to
Yeah.
ask for a deal and got a deal.
Yeah.
So I guess like I can kind of and then it's not coming to Steam for a year. So like a year from when the game is going to come out is when backers will get the Steam key that they were promised. So
Yeah.
like if you want the game on Steam, I can kind of see why you'd be pissed in that by that
Yeah.
sequence of events.
Because it's XCOM, well, like
It's
ish.
XCOM.
I'm kind of remember of the something that Epic definitely doesn't have at the moment, which is the Steam workshops.
Yeah, I mean they don't have mod support yet.
Yeah. I can see why that would be an issue because it's like, well, yeah, it's like a year. Then I could probably start working on like mods and stuff. I always find I'll probably be on another game.
Several.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like the whole Rise of the Tomb Raider thing on Xbox, right? Well, it was exclusive to Xbox for a year, and then by the time it came out on PS4, like the general conversation had passed. Like no one was really talking about it. And like, because I was gonna say no one cared, but then I was like, people cared, but like it was fractured to the
Yeah.
point where it kind of got drowned out. But yeah, it's a really interesting situation in this one regard. Whereas like when someone like Metro Exodus like going, oh, we're gonna be on the Epic Games Store like on launch day, but we're still gonna like if you pre-order it on Steam, you're still gonna get a Steam code. Just you won't be able to buy it from this date.
Yeah.
Like that's like yeah, whatever. Like businesses do business. It's the free market that Steam keeps banging on about.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is a bit weird because obviously there's crowdfunding and backers involved. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask the question because it's kind of
I
dicey.
I feel if you promise something in a Kickstarter, that you should uphold to that.
Yeah,
I'm also kind of very aware that
I feel like
Kickstarter.
they could take the Metro Exodus approach. Like I feel like there's nothing to stop them from releasing the game on Steam in a year after it comes out, but having the game be on Steam.
Yeah.
So that people who backed to get Steam codes can get Steam codes and activate them on Steam. Like because it's not like the difference between PS4 and Xbox One, where they're two completely different machines that are two completely different architectures. It's PC. They're just both releasing it. It's just two different storefronts.
Yeah.
Instead of something saying Epic Games, it would just say Steam in the files. I would assume it's not that difficult to release. So I figure like they could have done that, but instead, I guess maybe as part of the exclusivity deal, they can't do that. Because I don't think the games are available for pre-order on Steam.
Yeah.
Because a lot of indie games generally aren't anymore. Like it's generally all about wish lists and stuff. Does the promise of better post-launch content and free DLC packs offset the sudden change in platform? Is a question I'm not sure I can answer. I mean, it's one of my most anticipated games of the year. You say your game is a spiritual successor to XCOM. I say shut up and take my money. But
Yeah.
like, as someone who has like legitimate grievances with Steam, I'm too biased to answer that question. Because I was never gonna like pay for it on Steam anyway. So to me, this is just ensuring I'm gonna buy it.
There'll be lots of people happy with this free stuff. I think there's a bit of tribalism and defensiveness about people with Steam because Steam's been the only thing that you could use for so long, really.
Yeah.
And people who aren't really interested in the industry and stuff like may not have like used GOG and stuff as much before.
I mean, yeah, we've covered why I don't really use GOG.
Yeah, and there'll probably be people who are like annoyed by different DMRs anyway, just because of stuff like problems using like Ubisoft one
Oof. I
or
mean, I've
EA
got 1, 2, 3.
Origins.
I've got 5 currently installed on my computer. Like, I just looked at my taskbar. I've got Steam, Epic, Origin, Uplay, and Twitch. Because if you redeem free games on PC on Twitch, like, you have to download the Twitch thing.
Yeah.
Like, to play them, it's like, fuck's sake. Like, it is annoying to try and remember where your games are sometimes. But it's like, I'm not really that bothered that I've got all these different clients. Which I think is a large part of why I'm not really bothered by Epic Games getting exclusives. And it helps that I'm a console gamer first, so I'm just used to exclusives.
Yeah.
Like, it is weird that it's an exclusive on the same machine, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, I'm used to it. I play Persona on my PS4, play Halo on my Xbox. I play Mario on my Switch. Like, whatever, you know? Number 5 is says title on phone. Keith?
Yeah.
You suggested that I change this because you didn't want to talk about some game announcements. So I changed it. Top 10 games of 2018. Oh, wait. There's more. Tailored exclusively to Keith's taste that Keith needs to play ASAP. You should have figured this was coming because the very first thing I sent you, like, I sent you something, and a link, and then I was like, I've just had an idea for a thing on the podcast. And the link I sent you was a link to buy God of War. And then I was like, I've got an idea. And originally I was just going to sit here and try and convince you for like 10 minutes to buy God of War.
Yeah.
Instead, I decided to have some fun with it. I went through my top 30 games of 2018, and I went through the games you should have missed lists. Games you should have missed? No. I went through the games you probably missed list. And I was like, I'm going to make a top 10. Specifically for Keith. Because I've gotten pretty good at being able to recommend things to you over the years. And pretty good at trying to steer you away from games like Neo. My bad. I know I said it was amazing. And
yeah.
But what I should have clarified, it's also not your kind of game.
Yeah, you said all these amazing things about the game Neo, and then didn't say at any point, oh, but you wouldn't really like to play it because it's insanely difficult.
Yes. And next time I will do, if we ever do any kind of review type discussion between the two of us again, I will, once we've finished, say, by the way. Like, because, you know, if I tailored all of my reviews just to you, that would be a very strange YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But this is my podcast. I can do what I want. This next 5 minutes is dedicated just to you. Keith, the top 10 games of 2018 tailored exclusively to Keith's taste that Keith needs to play ASAP. Number 10 is a nice, cute, funny little platformer called Underhero. Which you've probably never heard of. I don't know. Have you heard of it? Probably heard me talking about it. It's very funny. So in Underhero, it's a 2D platformer. And you play the minion. And then at the beginning of the game, the hero has gone on this big long quest, and he's coming to face the final boss.
Yeah.
And then he's coming through, and then they have a plan. The 3 little minions who are guarding the final boss room. And then the plan actually succeeds, and he kills the hero. And then everybody's really shocked. And then the sword, who talks, that the hero is carrying, chooses the little minion dude to be the new hero. So you've got to save the kingdom whilst also being under the employ of the bad guy. It's very funny. It's a very, very funny game. And the combat is based on... It's kind of inspired by Mario RPG. So it's very much like... It's kind of rhythm-based, but not in the way where you, like... It's too challenging. Yeah, you're not going to be playing Dance Dance Revolution in the middle of it. But what's funny is because you're also a bad guy, technically. Yeah. Like, you can talk to everybody. You can talk to all of the enemies before you attack them. Have entire conversations with them and find out where secret treasures are and stuff. It's very funny. You should definitely play it. I'm not going to read the full title every time. I say like another number, by the way. Because at number 9 is Warhammer Vermintide 2. Keith, you like Left 4 Dead, right?
It was a fun game to play with us.
And you like what? You like Warhammer, right?
The original one, yeah.
Like, I mean, you know that Left 4 Dead story is like far, far, far and away removed from the appeal of why we played that game over and over again. Like, basically, Warhammer Vermintide 2 is what happens if someone is playing Left 4 Dead
Yeah.
on mushrooms while also simultaneously, like, between, like, rounds when it's loading, like painting Warhammer miniatures or something, and just mid-trip just combines the two and goes, fuck, I've just had an amazing idea.
It's basically me and you at the end of a charity live stream discussing the plot to Resident Evil and what's actually going on.
Yes, exactly, because we know the truth.
Yeah. I had been going to get like Vermintide 2 and stuff, and then I found that, we had already been playing it and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Obviously. I reviewed it last year. But, I play it with you. I play it, like, I don't need an excuse to play games. I was playing Titanfall with you last week. For no reason. Other than, was it last week? It might have been the week before. Other than we finished the podcast and like, let's play a game. Okay, cool. But the fact that you were already thinking about it means I'm definitely on the right track. Keith, number 8 is Gris. Have you heard of Gris? You should have heard of Gris. It's an incredibly beautiful platformer. Puzzle platformer. It's not under Hero. From Devolver Digital.
Right.
It's very emotional, very heartfelt, very much into its metaphor in terms of the story that it's trying to tell. It's telling a very specific. It's using a very specific thing. I'm not going to spoil what it is because you probably you don't generally figure it out until towards the end of the game. It's excellent, and the art style is that basically a watercolor painting. So the game starts off in black and white, and as you get new abilities, you add new colors to the world. So you get red, and then you get blue, and then you get green, and those do different things. And it's very, very awesome. I pause to see if you say anything, and then I move on. Keith, number 7 is Moonlighter. Moonlighter. It kind of sounds like a James Bond thing, but it's not.
Sounds like a noir.
It's a game where you play as a shopkeeper in a fantasy world. And what you do is you go every night, you go into a dungeon and you dungeon delve and you get loot. And then you take that loot back to your shop and then you sell it. And then you use the money to improve your shop or your character or the village.
Yeah.
And then you go back into the dungeon, you do it again. But like there's progression through the dungeon and there's multiple dungeons you can unlock and there's a story you can do. And the whole thing about selling stuff is like it doesn't tell you how much stuff's worth. You've got to figure it out by trial and error. If someone's like really happy with the price of something, it might be worth just knocking that price up a little bit. But crucially, if you get the price more or less spot on, it tells you like what the price was, so you're not like constantly having to try and remember the prices of all these different things.
Fair enough.
It's very fun. I was playing it when we were doing E3. Because I remember just before I dismantled everything to take round to Russell's house, I should have been making a video for it and instead was playing it. I didn't put numbers on these. 10, 9, 8, 7. Keith, number 6 is Celeste.
I have heard and seen Celeste.
So this is a little bit lower than in my game of the year. It was like number 4. It's a little bit lower. Because there's a couple on here where I'm like, you probably like them. So Celeste is by the guy who made Towerfall. You like Towerfall? It's just as yeah, the gameplay is just as pinpoint, except instead of it being like a multiplayer arena thing, it's a story platformer. And it's very difficult. And I know you don't like very difficult, brutally demanding games. Like in terms of, because I know you've played Ori.
Yeah.
It's a step above Ori in its later levels. However, it also has incredible difficulty sliders. So you don't just choose easy, normal, hard. You've got all sorts of different options that you can tweak. Essentially, you can go from, oh my god, this game is incredibly tough and challenging, to you could just fly if you wanted to. Like, you could give yourself infinite jumps, infinite stamina, Super Saiyan mode, and just go. Like, if you wanted. But you can choose things like you can give yourself infinite stamina, you can give yourself multiple jumps, or infinite jumps, and like it's not just on or off. There's like sliders for it, so you can really tailor the difficulty to what you want to play and what you'll find enjoyable. And then also, it's a really fucking awesome game with an awesome story about mental health and depression, anxiety, with some great characters. It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend you check it out. But I knew I'd have to come in with the it's got difficulty sliders, because it is very challenging. And I know you've played challenging games before, but I know there's a threshold that I know you want, that you would rather not cross. I call it the Bloodborne threshold. A game you would dearly love if it was just a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Keith, at number 5, I have put The Return of the Obra Dinn. This one's a riskier pick. Essentially, you play an insurance collection agent, and this ghost ship that disappeared like 10 years ago has pulled into port, and everybody's dead or disappeared. And you've got to figure out how every single person on the ship died to properly submit the insurance claim. But you've got this cool, it's not a stopwatch, it's a pocket watch that lets you see the last few seconds of their, like, you hear the last few seconds of their life.
Yeah.
And then you get to see like their death. So like you can see, like, if, say, oh, I don't know, a kraken like had picked them up. You see that, and then you can see everything that was going on around. And it's like, it snowballs from there, so you figure out you've got to figure out how a person died, who killed them, or what killed them. Because sometimes, they get crushed by a cannon. It's not like, well, nobody killed them. The cannon killed them. The ocean killed them. And you've got to do that for the entire crew. And there's like 10 different events that happened that basically wiped out everybody. And like, it starts off with, there was a mutiny. Cool. And then it gets progressively more weird, and it's like, these weird spider creatures crawled out of the sea and started murdering people. And then you're like, what the fuck? But it's really cool. You've literally got to...
Stay lost.
Sorry?
Like, maybe the ship should stay lost.
Yeah. But I mean, everybody's dead, so it's fine. But you have to... Like, sometimes you have to listen to people's accents and figure out where they're from to be able to identify them, or their ranks, or you have to listen to how people are addressing them, because sometimes you'll only catch onto their identity by like something really obscure in a line of dialogue, or like where they are at a specific point, which not necessarily where they are when they die, just where they are in a completely unrelated memory, like 5 chapters later. But what's cool is, like, you don't find out if you're right until you've done 3 correctly. 3 people's, like, full thing correctly, and then it checks off all 3. But, like, there's a picture of all of the crew, and their individual will be blurry if you don't have enough information to identify them, or they'll, like, be, like, non-blurry if you do. So you'll be able to tell if you have enough information to identify people. So you won't be, like, stuck, like... I mean, you will be stuck, because basically this game forces you to be an actual detective. Pretty much, yeah. But without the X-ray vision, like, follow the blood trail. It's like, no, you got to do all that work yourself.
No, you just have a magic stop.
You have a magic stopwatch, but, Number 4 is a game called The Hex.
I think I've heard of it.
Yeah, basically it's... You start off in a pub, or a tavern, I think it is, with a bunch of different video game protagonists, like retired from a bunch of different types of video games, and then the bar owner gets a call, and which basically says someone's going to be murdered, and then you have to try and figure out who's going to be murdered and who's going to be the murderer. And you do this by taking control of each one of them, the characters, at various points, and you have different flashbacks as you piece together this story. And as you do in the flashbacks, like they're all the different genres. So you play Super Weasel Kid, who is a platformer mascot, and then you're in a fighting game, and then you're in a JRPG style game, and all of these games were made by the same developer.
Right.
And basically, like, I can't dive too much into the story. It's fucking weird though. Like, it gets very like meta, very fourth wall breaky.
I would imagine it would.
The story is obviously a lot more complicated than it's a murder mystery. It's really cool. You should definitely play it. Number 3, I won't need to go too much into detail about these last 3. Number 3, Yakuza 6. It's Yakuza 6.
And I played 1 to 5 or 0.
You don't need, like, there's a very lengthy catch-up session at the beginning of Yakuza 6, because I never played 0 to 6 extensively, 0 to 5 extensively, but it's a lot of fun. And I know you're interested because I know you've looked and gone, what the fuck? Whenever it's like, karaoke! They take karaoke really seriously in this game. Number 2 is Spider-Man. Because Spider-Man is really, really fucking good. And I know you liked Batman, Arkham. And the combat system is very similar, except instead of Bat gadgets, you have like Spider-Man stuff. So like he makes his gadgets that like are like you can stick people to walls and spider web bombs, and you swing through the city of New York, go and climb the Avengers Tower if you want, because that's there. And then it's like, imagine Batman, but it's got a sense of humor. And still got an awesome cast of rogues. Gets a bit slow in the second act, but the third act more than makes up for it. And number 1 is the game that kicked this whole thing off in the first place, which is God of War. God of War. It's got Chris Judge in it. He says boy a lot.
Yeah, I've heard.
It's a really, really awesome story that I know you will enjoy. Because, and I know this is going to be a weird comparison to make, but you'll get it when you play it. Because I know you enjoyed Final Fantasy 15's story. I know you'll enjoy God of War's story. Because I know you enjoy those types of stories. Like, it's essentially a story. Yes, there's gods and Norse mythology and all this high epic stuff going on, like, all of the time. But it's also kind of just a story about a dad and a kid and their relationship.
Yeah.
And also, like, there's lots of Norse gods that kick the shit out of you. It's really good. And you carry around a disembodied head who is like the best like buddy character. But you get him like halfway through. It's cool. Anyway,
Morty, the talking skull from Monkey Island.
Sure, why not? Except this guy's got a Scottish accent.
Yeah, I didn't hear that.
Except this guy's got a Scottish accent.
Fair enough.
There you go. You wanted something different. I gave you something different. I hope you write all those down. Oh,
so,
you're such
games
so
out
annoying.
this week.
I hand you these games. Like, I cook games off that you'd already played, and I cook games off that I knew you wouldn't like. Tailored exclusively to Keith's tastes. That's what it says. That's what it was. And he'll never play any of them. Just to spite me.
Yes, because I'm such a spiteful creature. So, we've got games coming out this week, Amy.
Take it away. I've spoken for long enough.
Yeah. So we've got Fate/Excelia Link coming out on PC, PS4, Vita, and Switch on March the 19th. It's rare to see the Vita on something.
Vita?
Yeah. It's up there.
Holy crap. Well,
the day after, I think we've got a game coming out that everybody, which is Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon. Everybody on the PS4 and Switch. Come on, March 20th. I'm just envisaging like Scooby-Doo, but instead of Scooby, it's Chocobo.
I never played Etrian Mystery Dungeon, so I have no idea what this game's about.
Neither do I. I just looked at it and went, check them out. So, then the day after that, it's weird how all these games are coming out on different days as opposed to all on one day. We've got The Revolution, which is a PC exclusive coming out March the 21st. And after that, a little game called Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, coming out on PC, PS4, and Xbox One on March the 22nd. Have you heard of that game before?
A little bit, yeah. Once or twice, maybe.
I think I might have seen an advert for that somewhere. I'm not sure.
Like a 5-second clip of an advert on YouTube, just before I hit skip ad, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Obviously, Sekiro. Super excited about that game.
Yeah, I do have one theory, having looked at like all these different gameplay videos and stuff, which is the protagonist is actually quite short. Because everybody else, even like the humans I've seen in it, are taller than him by like a foot and a half.
I feel like that's just the Dark Souls / Bloodborne design ethos. Because now that I think back to it, it's like, like even the human or like humanish humanoid characters are like quite like, because it's like they want to be physically imposing, right? So they're like, they're bigger than you. So maybe you're like 4 foot in Sekiro, like.
Yeah, it would make a lot of sense.
Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. Keith, that's going to do it. Episode 150 of the Words About Gamescast. We had a good time. Yeah. I'm going to get you to play at least one of those games.
Probably on a charity stream.
I mean, I still owe you for the bet we made last year. That could be one of those games. Because I haven't decided yet. I will eventually. But to do so, you have to come here and stream it from here. So it's like
annoying.
I could pick God of War, but it's like you'd have to be like, that's like 20 to 30 hours. It's like I'd be down for that. I want to give us an excuse to hang out in person more. Keith's about to pass out. Good job we're not doing anything else tonight. Keith, say bye, Keith.
Bye, Keith.